Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles, and I'm pleased to say that we've got the full cast of characters back today with Nick, Jackson, and Joey. Guys, how are you doing?
I'm happy to be back at my house, at my computer, and able to join you guys back. Thanks for letting me miss the last couple with travel days and activities out in Colorado. But I'm back and ready to talk some playoff basketball.
What's up, boys? Good to see your faces. Hello, everybody. First late night pod ever. Episode
Late
41.
night
We're
pod
finally
tonight.
here.
Yes.
Currently recording this on Thursday night after Jalen Brunson, the mayor of Philadelphia, knocked the Sixers out of the playoffs.
For those just listening, Jackson can only smile like the Joker right now. He is giddy as can be.
He's waiting to speak until we start with that series. But yeah, we are recording this right after the Sixers Knicks game just finished like 30 minutes ago. So these are all raw reactions from the last couple games. So this is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of things to recap. We've got a series that we can actually preview, which is going to be awesome. Super excited to preview that series. But first, the 76ers and the New York Knicks in game 6 with Jalen Brunson once again going crazy for his third straight 40-point game in the playoffs. Josh Hart with the game-winning three, and they hold off a 39-point effort from Joel Embiid to win the series in 6 games. Jackson Goglin, the floor is yours.
First of all, I'd like to point out, let's not talk about, he had 39 points. You know what else he did? You know what else he did at the end of this game? He didn't play the final 50 seconds of this game when it mattered most. Because you know what he did? He fouled out like a buffoon. Because he's a loser. And also, Tobias Harris is almost as bad as he is. Almost. But, I'm done talking about them. Let's talk about the best team in the East. My early season, before the season prediction to come out of the East, and that prediction is looking better by the day. It's like, that prediction reminds me of Justin Verlander, aging like fine wine. Perfect. Perfect. A LeBron prediction.
Shaq's already picked the Pacers.
Well, Shaq's a moron. Shaq
Dude.
doesn't know basketball. Okay? But yeah, nothing more to say except Joel Embiid sucks.
Miles.
Jalen Brunson is the best point guard in the league ever.
Miles, can you say the names that Jalen Brunson joins with the 3 straight 40s?
Yes, let me go back to this. I went back and looked because 3 straight 40-point games in the playoffs. That's ridiculously impressive stuff. And I was wondering who has done this in history. And as I'm trying to go back to this, I'm back home finally. I'm back home from school. Jackson's coming home today, so I'm back at my computer set. So I have it all. I found it. The only other players in NBA playoff history to have 3 straight 40-point games are Jerry West, Michael Jordan, Bernard King, Allen Iverson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Jamal Murray, and now Jalen Brunson. So it's very, 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 very special. No, LeBron James isn't on the list.
Well, it's different. He passes the ball. He doesn't screw his team in the final 50 seconds of the
Philly
game.
great AI.
Philly great AI. New York great Bernard King.
Yeah, New York legend Bernard King.
The only good player to play for Philly in the last 20 years.
I want to know what you guys think about how this series came out. I know we did predictions in the beginning. Were you guys? This series was. It couldn't have got any closer. Miles, you said the point differential ended up being 1 for New York at the end of it.
Correct.
That's wild to me. This is such a close series.
Because to me, I'll give you mine. To me, it really came down mostly to rebounding, and then the clutch play at the end. It just seemed like New York controlled every single game. At the end of the fourth quarter, they were tougher. They made the more plays. They made the right play more times. And they just seemed like they had more decisive, with the ball. They knew that they were going to Jalen Brunson. And you could say the Sixers knew they were going to Embiid, but it just didn't seem like it was the same level there. Embiid is hot. Like he's not. I don't even know if he's at 50%. He didn't look good tonight. I mean, he had 39, and he just like he had a couple of nice defensive blocks too that really surprised me.
In the fourth quarter, he
He had a
definitely
one
has
block today,
disappointed
so.
this series in the fourth quarter specifically. But that third quarter, he was definitely a beast. Like I think the big thing with this series and why this ended up really turning the Knicks' favor is the others, because the Knicks role players played fantastic again today. When you look, DiVincenzo with 23 points, OG Anunoby was huge, a couple big threes, had a big dunk in the fourth quarter as well.
Had a big missed dunk, I remember.
Did have a big missed dunk when the Sixers were going on their run. Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson both combined have been great defensively, and then of course Josh Hart has just he's been fantastic. Like he's been super special for the Knicks. And then you look at the Sixers. When you look at the Sixers side of things, you look at Kyle Lowry and Tobias Harris combining for 0 points this game. You did get good games from, other role players, Kelly Oubre, Nick Batum and Buddy Hield. Gotta give a shout out to Buddy Buckets, who was horrible the first three games. He only scored 2 points the first 3 games.
Nick Nurse was looking for a spark when they were down 20 today.
Yeah, they were down 33-11 immediately to start the game. Nick Nurse puts in Buddy Hield. Hield goes for 17 in the first half alone. I thought the Knicks defense in the second quarter it didn't make any sense what they were doing in that quarter, but they picked it up. But
Miles, did you pick up on the zone that Philly put out there for a little bit?
Yeah, I did. It definitely made things
difficult. I watched
difficult.
that too. It was weird kind of seeing Cameron Payne take over in the defensive paint a couple times, like during the rotation.
Down there, yeah.
I kept seeing Cameron Payne go down there. I'm like, this doesn't look right.
Shout out Campaign. Campaign shot 50% from behind the arc.
Campaign shot really well. That's the thing. But like, even though you were mentioning that, like those guys had good games. Also, like Buddy Buckets had a couple terrible games. They got lucky today.
Dude, that fall away he had at the end of the first half.
He couldn't miss. He really couldn't miss.
He was due. I mean, he's one of the best 3-point shooters of all time, and 2 points through 5 games. You knew if he was gonna play, he was gonna show out for sure.
Wow.
When looking at the 76ers moving forward, of course, again, this is another end of the season. This one in the first round. A lot of the last 3 years, it's been in the second round. But of course, Embiid injured for 2 months of the season. We knew coming in that this wasn't going to be a great matchup for them. All of us had the Knicks coming out in this series. Do you guys feel any better or worse about the Sixers going into the offseason? Jackson, we'll wait on you because we know what you'll think about this. With the Sixers also having max cap room this offseason to make moves, what do you guys think about the Sixers moving forward?
I think they're in a decent position, but only because they have a lot of holes to fill, in my opinion, especially because the way I look at it is it's recency bias, but when playing counts, doesn't matter what you kind of do in the regular season. It matters what you do in the playoffs. If you're only going to be good in the regular season, when it comes to the playoffs, they can't play you. Tobias Harris is like a good example. He's solid all year round, every past couple of years. I told you in the beginning in our playoff preview, I'm like, he's going to need to step up if the Sixers have a chance. And he blew it. I think they need a massive upgrade at the wing.
Paul George.
Honestly, that
would
wouldn't be bad. They need a massive upgrade and a couple of the bench players, like maybe a better backup point guard for Tyrese Maxey instead of Kyle Lowry. But like, I'll be honest, going with that Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, the Knicks are a great team. They really are, and they pushed it to 6 games with a +1 point differential. Like, they don't have to do a whole lot. They just got a couple key spots though that are mostly role players, but that they have to replace and should upgrade.
And heck, it could easily have gone their way as well with them giving up game 2. They should have won game 2. I mean, it evened out with Game 5, the craziness of Game 5. But you're right. I mean, with the playoffs, looking at this series, Embiid averaged 33 points per game and Maxey averaged 30. That I'm going to assume is the highest scoring duo in the playoffs so far. But then the rest of your guys, the next leading scorer is 13 for Oubre. Tobias Harris averaged just 9 points per game. He only took 8 shots per game. In this game, he took 2 shots in 29 minutes. This is not going to get it done. But looking at their salary table, the only players that are under contract for the 76ers are Joel Embiid, Paul Reed, and Tyrese Maxey when he gets his extension. Everyone else is up. They only have 3 players under contract.
I would love for them to bring back Buddy Hield because he's a good guy to space the floor for them, I think.
I wonder if his value has gone down because of this series, or if that one half tonight fixed
the
it. The
one half maybe saved him because
that could have saved him.
In saying, "Hey, man, he could be solid in the regular season, but like I said, if you don't play good in the playoffs, it doesn't matter." Well, he had at least have one really good half.
He did swing a half. He did swing a half, like literally. He swung a half and got the Sixers. Yeah,
in a winner go home. That's as clutch situation as you can get. At least you know he has that. That's a little promise.
Yes. Jackson, what did you want to say about the 76ers?
I mean, you have this max cap. They need to get someone else who can perform in the playoffs. They need to get another star next to Maxey, in my opinion.
Next to Maxey.
The Embiid, oh my gosh.
Listen, I mean, he's all right. He's all right. But I mean, I've never seen an MVP not get out of the second round because it's never happened with another.
We have not.
You haven't?
Good. No, because it's never happened. Nobody else.
It is true.
MVP has never made the second round or the third round.
Made it out of the second round. Yeah, for sure. But
wasn't Dirk MVP?
Oh, he's just talking about players that have won MVPs before.
Oh,
he's the only MVP in history. No, Dirk.
I'm like rating MVPs. I'm like Dirk won MVP and they were the 1 seed, and then he lost in the first.
To Golden State that year, but yeah, moving on. Let's go to the other game from tonight with Game 6 of the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. After the Bucks put together a crazy good win in Game 5, a historic win even, they go to Indiana and the Pacers just take care of business. Damian Lillard returned for this game. He gave it a go. He played solid. I mean, the stats look good, 28 points, but, didn't have that normal jump, which is, to be expected with the injury. But Pacers win it 120-98, and I'll tell you what, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that on this podcast I would have had a graphic up here of the Pacers beating the Bucks in the first round, and the 2 highlight players were TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin, I don't know. I would not have believed you, but here we are.
What planet are we on, bro? What planet is the 2024 NBA playoffs?
Right? That's the planet we're on. Who said Pacers in 6? Oh, this guy. Right here. The genius.
I had them in 7. I think you guys both had the Bucks, right?
I did.
I had him in 7 because I thought Giannis would be back by Game 4, but
I thought Giannis would be back. I thought Dame would have his Portland days, and he did have a couple games like that, but then he got injured.
He got injured again. But
hey, let's talk about the Pacers though, because I mean their move at the deadline here for Pascal has really opened things up and allowed them to have like offensive variability. They're great playing fast, and they can do that with Siakam because he's great doing that. But it gives them other options because he can be his own offense too in the half court at times. And between the Dallas move for Derek Jones and Daniel Gafford, and then New York's move to bring in Bogey and really just open up their roster with the deadline, like those 3 moves were great moves for Dallas, New York, and Indy that have all really paid off for them in the playoffs.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, the thing that stood out to me in this Pacers game, like we all know about their offense and how it's been been the best offense in the NBA this year, I believe, statistically. But they made there. You could tell that there was definitely an emphasis on them playing physical defense and guarding the Bucks ball handlers full court because that has happened a lot, especially in the first half after the Pacers got off to a slow start on this one. They were down 10-3, but then they just went crazy. The bench came in, mainly McConnell and Toppin, both going for playoff career highs. McConnell with 20 points and 9 assists. Obi Toppin 21 points and 8 rebounds. And then Halliburton, Siakam, they did their thing. Turner didn't have the best game, but they didn't need it. And like if the Pacers are playing that hard defensively and they keep up, their offensive numbers from, the regular season, they're a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I don't see a world where they can beat the Knicks though. I think the same way that the Knicks dominated the rebounding and had the depth advantage in the series versus the Sixers, I think it's going to be like a similar sort of story in the second round.
Yeah, it definitely could be possible. That is the series from there. We're not going to officially make our full predictions yet because, like we said, the game's just finished 30, 40 minutes ago. But if we're making quick observations,
Knicks in
yes,
5.
analysis, he thinks Knicks in 5 could definitely be possible. I mean, the Knicks
At least
should
he's not bringing out the broom.
yeah, the Knicks
No,
should
them
heavily
staying away
be
for a minute.
favored. The Knicks should definitely be favored in this series. But something that the Pacers will have going for them that the Sixers didn't is that, like we are talking about with the Sixers, the Pacers have the role players that have stepped up in these playoff moments, and the Sixers guys were a lot more inconsistent. The Pacers, besides Game 1, I would say that all of their guys really stepped up in each game. Maybe Game 1 and Game 5, their 2 losses, which were both blowouts. Their role players stepped up, so that should be a fun series. And none of us expected it coming in, but that should be a fun series.
You know who my X factor is in that series is if Miles Turner can really stretch the floor, that's going to give Robinson Hartenstein a little bit of trouble.
You know who's going to come in if that starts to happen? Mr. Precious Achiuwa.
Oh, come on. What are we doing?
He's a versatile big. He can keep up with him.
I'm sorry,
Don't
but
even.
that is one too many people that Tibbs likes to play. He likes his players running
How
40
about Tibbs?
minutes around.
That dude played 5 or 6 guys. I mean, he played 5 dudes over like 42 minutes or 43 minutes a night.
Yeah, DiVincenzo played the whole game.
Yeah.
Josh Hart played all 53 minutes of Game 5. Dude, Tibbs is a madman, but
No,
yeah,
but seriously, I think the
Knicks
Knicks.
disrespect Tibbs. Tibbs is the best coach I've ever seen with my own two eyes.
Tibbs is a
Behind
really
Ime
good
Udoka.
coach. Yeah, I like Tibbs. Knicks, I think, will get that series pretty easily as well. Maybe in 5. Honestly, I could even see 4. But hey, shout out to the Pacers because who would have thought they would have had like a guaranteed playoff spot this year? They came out hot. They did well in the in-season tournament. Rick Carlisle did what he did in Dallas and is being a great coach. I'm honestly shocked they even made it past the first round because with a young team like that, that's huge momentum.
And obviously Milwaukee had the injuries.
Yeah.
But you got to play who's in front of you, and the Pacers did that. I mean, we all would have looked like at the Pacers like fools if they didn't come out with this series, and that's exactly what they did. Before we move on, I do want to give love to the other Bucks role players because although they did lose this series, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, Brooke Lopez, they all played very, very well when they needed to step up, and it wasn't enough because their defense they just didn't have the bodies to really throw out there. But shout out to the Bucks guys for playing hard and giving it their all because they could have easily just thrown in the towel, and got to give credit for that.
Who has been worse in the playoffs since winning the championship, the Lakers or the Bucks?
Worse in the playoffs since winning the championship?
Well, yeah, they both have kind of been bad since winning the title.
I would have to say the Lakers just because
Definitely the Lakers.
I was going to say, at least with the Bucks, a lot of injury issues.
Injury every year.
Literally.
you could say is why they didn't win the title that year. Honestly, well, except this year. This year, they never looked like a championship team during the year.
No.
I think year 2 they're gonna have a much better shot next year once they have a full year. But you got to think with the Lakers, they lose in the first round after winning the championship. They trade for Westbrook, miss the play-in. Next year, they're the 7th seed. They go to the conference finals, but then they get swept. Then this year they win one playoff game. I don't know. That's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely an interesting topic there. But moving to the other LA team, let's move on to a couple games going on tonight. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks and LA Clippers game 6. Game 5, this was a shocker. The Mavericks going into LA in a pivotal game and blowing out the Clippers by 30 in a game where the Clippers just did not have any. It didn't look like they had any sense of urgency. It was very, very disappointing.
Bye bye Clippers. It was nice knowing you. Smell you later.
Yeah, that was the last game we're going to see of the Clippers in Crypto Arena.
You think so?
I think so. I think that stadium in Dallas is going to be so electric. Mark Cuban's going to come out on the floor and terrorize the Clippers if he has to. But Clippers aren't leaving without an L, and that was a brutal game for them to have as their last showing at home, because this is a really talented Clippers team that we expected a whole lot more, even without Kawhi.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being an ownership group and spending all that money to buy 2,000 tickets to your own game, and then your team loses?
The Sixers
We're talking
don't
about
deserve
LA
any
and Dallas,
goblin.
Philly.
You mentioned the stadium, and it made me think of it. That was funny.
Every team has a stadium. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but every team doesn't have to buy their own ticket.
Oh my gosh.
This was pretty embarrassing for LA.
It really was.
I mean, the whole time they had the ball, there was just zero flow. It didn't look like anyone wanted to be aggressive or attack. I mean, Paul George was doing his thing, his theme song music, whatever, the hezzy pullback snatch.
Yeah.
But when Terrence Mann is your second best offensive threat, it's not a good situation. The 1-2 punch for the Mavs is just way, way better than Paul George and James Harden could offer in this one.
James Harden. I don't think James Harden should get a pass here for this, because he's been great this series. I mean, I know that he's due to have a stinker, but this was horrible. This was just horrible. Like,
this is a bad time to have a stinker.
Yeah, and I'll play devil's advocate with the whole bye to the Clippers, because we weren't saying that the series was over after Dallas got played like this in game 1. And in 2021, the Clippers were in this exact same position, down 3-2, going to Dallas, won games 6 and 7 to win the series. Now I know they had Kawhi for that series, but he's hasn't been good when he's played. That's why he's not playing, because he's injured. I think Game 6 is going to be tough for the Mavericks to close out. I think they are definitely. They probably will do it. I would pick them to win the game, because I had the Mavs in 6, as I think most of us did.
Clippers in 7.
Nick still got the Clippers in 7, but this will be.
Mavs in 6.
I think Game 6 will be the hardest game for the Mavericks to close out. I guess besides Game 4.
I disagree. I actually think they have the most momentum they've had all series.
Luka
for sure.
It's really, really. I mean, they play really well in closeout games in the past. I mean,
all right, if the Clippers want a chance,
Chris Paul could lead to 42.
First of all, they have to slow down the break. I mean, the Dallas just killed them on the break in Game 5, and they also need to make Luka tired and work on the defensive end. They're not attacking that matchup enough. They're not going at him enough. That needs to be a very big part of your game plan against Luka and Kyrie, against the Dallas Mavericks.
Definitely.
And they're not doing it enough. I don't know. They just need to find more ways to do that.
I think it's definitely going to be closer than the last game, because you can't get much worse. But I don't know, man. Luka in closeout games is pretty nasty.
That's why,
I've
yeah.
seen it before.
That's why I'm thinking that the Clippers may go with the strategy of make sure that no one else goes off. And that is now the box score may say that not every, the other guys didn't go off. 35 for Luka, everyone else. But 15 points for Kleba with 5 threes. Lively 5 for allowed 12 points, 5 for 5 from the field. Derrick Jones Jr. allowed 12 points. Kyrie Irving only had 14 points, but oh my goodness, he was one of the best. He was definitely the second best player on the court. He was fantastic in this game. You have to not allow those other guys to get going. Like,
Which Kyrie already had his stinker game, only having 14.
I don't even think this is a stinker game though.
But like
honestly,
in terms of the low scoring, like
yeah, in
Yeah,
terms
he's
of
not
low
gonna do
not
that
scoring,
gonna
again.
hold Kyrie
yeah,
to 14
probably not.
again.
Dude, Kyrie has made some crazy difficult shots in this series, and I want to ask you guys this. This was on my list for today. Another guy who makes crazy difficult shots just got knocked out. Maxey, I think, might be the second toughest shot, like, or maybe around the rim guy. Because did you see the and one that he had today where he was dang near parallel to the ground?
He's good. Maybe top 5. I don't know about like the top 1 or 2.
I think that might be maybe as far as guards go. Because I'm
Toughest,
thinking,
I would
like,
still. Yeah.
when healthy, I think it's Kyrie. Just off the top of my head, not with layups. If we're talking,
like tough layups.
If we're talking layups,
Going up against bigs and stuff, that's tough.
Brunson's great in the paint, obviously with the jump shots and floaters. But with layups, off the top of my head, without doing research, I'd probably go Kyrie when healthy. Ja Morant.
I was about to say Ja's ahead of him too.
You think Maxey probably, De'Aaron Fox.
I was about to say
Speedy.
Fox is pretty good at driving in like that.
When healthy,
DG in there.
Garland, not this year.
Not this year.
Guards, put Jalen Green on that list.
You put Shea in there, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Shea too. But Maxey, that is definitely a good conversation.
He's definitely underrated looking at it.
When you look at all across the league, though, I think LeBron is still a ridiculous finisher.
Yeah.
Giannis. I mean, those guys that just live around the paint.
I got you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask. That's a good point.
It's a good question though, because I've definitely noticed that. I personally have been thinking when I've been watching Maxey, and promise to the listeners, this is the final thing we'll say about the 76ers player because they're in Cancun now. But when I've watched Tyrese Maxey, he's honestly been reminding me more and more of like Damian Lillard, but just who attacks the rim more. Because when he shoots his step back three, it reminds me a lot of Dame Dollar, honestly.
I could see that, yeah.
But you guys think Mavericks for sure for Game 6? Would you be surprised if the Clippers forced a Game 7?
Yes.
Really?
Not really, because they're a really talented team. Like we've seen them get it done before.
No, dude, they're playing Amir Coffee like 25 minutes a game.
Definitely not ideal.
It definitely is not. It is not.
I need
ideal.
to see Bones Highland out there. If they want a chance.
PJ Tucker, honestly, he came in for game 5.
Yeah, that's waving the white flag.
If Dallas goes down 20 like Philly did today, then you will see them dudes coming off the bench.
You will see PJ Tucker come in almost immediately. We'll see. Yeah.
See Ty Lue packing his bags to move across the office.
Oh my goodness!
Across the street.
Not even across the street, across the hallway. He's going to be a Lakers that good.
Oh my goodness. Well, moving on, let's talk about the other game going on tonight. Another crucial Game 6 of the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Orlando Magic, coming off of a great Game 5, the closest game by far of the series. But the Cavs end up pulling it out 105-104 thanks to some big plays on both ends of the floor by Evan Mobley. They take the 3-2 lead. They win Game 5 without Jared Allen, who was ruled out of the game prior to tip-off with the rib contusion, which was later revealed to be a rib piercing, which just does not sound good at all. What are your guys' thoughts so far on this series? Obviously, it's been a very ugly, defensive-minded series where the home court team has had the advantage the whole time. What are your guys' thoughts after Game 5?
Paolo's been super impressive. I don't know if he's had 35-plus point games or 2, but I know he's had at least 2 35. Like we were talking on Brunson with the 340. But Allen being out really paved the way for Mobley. Had a great game in this one. I know I texted you guys in the first quarter. Mobley was trash or something.
He
along
didn't
those
look good
lines.
to start. He was fumbling some passes to start, but he picked it up for sure.
He did pick it up. Game-saving block. A lot of big buckets in the paint down the stretch. I think it was Struce that found him the first time, and then
For the
right
dunk.
after Garland found him. But what really impressed me, honestly, was Marcus Morris, Sam Merrill, and Tristan Thompson coming in and getting the job done, doing what they had to or like what they could. And Karras, he wasn't great, but he played good defense in this game. When you have Suggs and Wagner combine to not shoot, they were 8 of 25, and you throw Harris in there,
They
went
didn't
0
have
for 3.
They didn't have good games.
Yeah. And it's tough for the Magic when you play 10 guys and you do go that deep. Like if 1 or 2 of your main guys have an off night, it's kind of hard to overcome that because Paolo had 40 and they still lost.
And it was a tough 40 points. Like he was making some ridiculously difficult shots. He's like, it's crazy to think that this guy's only in year 2.
He looked like Durant.
The next 2 superstars is Wembanyama, obviously, and Paolo Banchero.
And
Ant. I'm ready to call Ant a superstar already, personally. Me personally, getting the high seed, win your series, you're the number 1 guy. He's pretty. But I'm talking guys in their rookie sophomores, like the next superstars.
Rookie
Wemby
sophomore.
And Paolo.
Yes, that's accurate.
Wemby and Paolo. Paolo especially, taking his team this year to the playoffs. And I know in the regular season, Franz was playing better. They had a lot of other guys, but clearly in the playoffs, Paolo, outside of Mitchell, who's having some really good games, and Mobley, Paolo's been the best player.
Yeah.
No question.
Add Brandon Miller to that list of future
superstars.
Oh, Brandon Miller's got some potential.
Brandon Miller's gonna be
does have potential.
If he gets people that actually will play around him.
If he keeps his weapons concealed.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not true.
Cavs, I don't know though. It was not a very convincing win. When both the Magic wins have been very convincing because they have been blowing us out. But I don't know. I still think the Magic will win. I still think the Magic will win in 7 now because I don't see us hitting any shots when we go to Orlando because we haven't. And then they clearly kept it close when we were here, so maybe they'll get the edge that time.
If we can have Darius score 17 in the first again, I think we can win.
Well,
if Darius can score 20, it's game, set, match.
Look, if Darius Garland can play like that, it changes a whole lot of things because he played fantastic. I think the Jared Allen being out definitely changed the spacing. With Struce finally having his first good game of the series, this game was definitely promising going to Game 6 for Orlando because the Cavs guys, finally got some shots to fall from the 3-point line. Marcus Morris was huge. I'm interested to see what the lineups look like for Game 6 because for the Orlando Magic, Gary Harris, starting shooting guard, is most likely going to be out. He hurt his hamstring, and I've been listening to a lot of Magic podcasts about this series, and from everything that they've been saying, when Gary Harris has had those types of injuries this year, it takes a week or 2 to recover. So he might be out for the series.
You know what, though? Markelle Fultz has been playing great. And they got Cole Anthony, too.
That's the thing is, if
they're so
Orlando,
guard heavy, it's not the end of the world.
I think Cole Anthony, you can't start. I don't think that
No.
he's been playable in this series.
He's the guy
Honestly,
you bring off the bench.
besides game 3, he's been bad this series. Yeah, Gary Harris hasn't been that good too. The two things that I've been thinking with that the Magic, or I guess the main thing that I think the Magic might do, is what they did at the end of Game 5 when Gary Harris was injured, and they basically upshifted everyone, like mainly Franz and Paolo Banchero, and they played Isaac
Yeah.
with the rest of those guys, and that's just a tall starting lineup, which is tough to defend. So I'm wondering if the Magic go with that, if the Cavs make a move and they start Morris instead of Okoro. Interesting sort of size. It's definitely going to be a chess match going into this game. For the Cavs playing as bad as they did in games 3 and 4 in Orlando, I can see a world where they can close in Orlando because it's hard to play as bad as you could those two games. Those were like the two worst games you could possibly play. Nothing was going. And I'll be interested to see how the Magic take this close Game 5 loss.
I'm with you too. Their inexperience, I think, could finally catch up with them here, and they might be a little nervous going into this winner go home back against the wall situation. And you would hope that the Cavs are hungry after being embarrassed by the Knicks last year, and they want to close this out in Orlando.
I'm gonna have faith in the young teams because let's look at the young teams: Timberwolves, Thunder, Pacers. Like they're all advancing. They're all doing really well.
Well, it's not like the Cavs are an old team.
But they've been to the playoffs. They went to the playoffs last year. But I don't know. I think this is momentum for the Magic, being like, hey, the home team has won each time, but we blew them out on our home turf, and they barely beat us on their home turf. If we can force a Game 7, we're in a good position. I think they're going to have the momentum.
Oh yeah, all the pressure is on the Cavs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And if they Game 6 or Game 7, if it goes to that, the pressure is definitely on the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Game 7 live stream run in the paint. We're all going to be there courtside.
There won't be a Game 7. Trust.
I thought that we were going to win Game 3 and not have to go back to Orlando for this next one that we're talking about right now. So,
well, you thought wrong. I
didn't say you could also be wrong.
I thought the Cavs were going to lose last game. I had the Magic in 6, so I thought the Cavs were going to lose last game, and they were going to win it and lose in Orlando.
I had Cavs in 6.
Are any of you
exactly? Overall prediction was Cavs in 6.
Yeah.
Oh my Atlanta.
What do you mean? I'm a realist.
You guys root against your team more than anyone I've ever seen.
We're not rooting against. What are you talking about?
It's a prediction.
I'm still rooting for the Rockets, and they're not even in the playoffs right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's a prediction. Who do I think is going to win? I think the Magic. Who do I want to win? Well, obviously the Cavs.
Wait, who do you think? Why would you?
I would rather my prediction be wrong if it means the Cavs are going to win. I don't care about my prediction. It doesn't hold that much merit.
They do say it, yeah.
You're saying I dog on my team all the time. I'm like, I love my team. I bet against them, so then when they win,
I do love the Magic.
I also do like the Magic.
Not for these 3 weeks. I hate their players
still
now.
Love the Magic these 3 weeks. Big fan.
Oh my goodness. But no, that should be 2 big games going on tonight. We'll see which series go to Game 7 because currently we don't have a single Game 7 going on. So we'll see if either of these end up going to 7. Real quick recap of the Celtics and the Thunder both dominantly getting their way to the second round. The Celtics blowing out the Heat 118-84 in Game 5. Once again, just putting the clamps on. The Heat just don't have enough. They just didn't have enough bodies, enough offensive power to keep up with Boston. And then the Thunder taking care of business, sweeping the Pelicans. Two impressive series from the 2 top teams in their respective conferences.
It was sad to watch Miami go out like that. Bam versus everybody.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Boston, I don't know how I feel about Boston because Mr. Tingus Tingus is out for at least a week,
Mr.
right? They're saying at least a
Tingus.
week. They're saying he might not return until the
Who that?
conference finals. So without Porzingis, you go against the Cavs or the Magic. I mean, if you go against the Cavs, you're gonna get out rebounded.
Cavs in 6.
Yeah,
Cavs in 6.
I think regardless of who the Celtics play in that series, they should win in 5. They should.
Wow, optimism.
Shout out to Brad Stevens winning Executive of the Year.
Shout out. I'm just seriously. They should win in 5 games. They should.
Cavs in 6.
Regardless, I would love Cavs. I would love Cavs in 6 if they.
If the
make it
Cavs
there.
beat the Magic, which
There's
they
no
won't.
stopping us.
There's no stopping us. If we make it past, we're going to the championship.
If we can
If we
beat Paolo
beat the
Banchero,
Magic.
Jonathan Isaac, and Gary Harris.
You think if Markelle Fultz can't stop us, Jason Tatum who?
Well, I mean, if you've seen the stats, Paolo's playing much better than Tatum so far in the playoffs. So
If third place coach of the year, Jonathan Mosley.
Jamal,
Jonathan
Jamal-
Mosley.
Jonathan
that's enough from you.
Jamal Mosley.
Jonathan Biggerstaff.
John Blair Bickerstaff. No, one thing with the Celtics Heat series that's kind of crazy. So the Heat, they won game 2 and they made the 23 threes.
Boom.
Guess how many threes they made the rest of the series?
7.
8.
No, I mean 21 in total in the next 3 games.
Oh, okay. Thought you were making it sound like really bad. I'm like, what? They make like single digits each game?
No, single digits each game. 9, 9, and 3.
Oh.
Total in the next 3 games, they made 21 total after 23 in just game 2. That's bad. Especially 3 for 29 from 3 in game 5. Just didn't. They just didn't have the guys to do it. So they Celtics move on. They'll await the winner of Magic Cavs. Thunder await the winner of Mavericks Clippers. Now we do have a series that we can get to predicting, but before we get to that, we do have to look at the final game of Lakers Nuggets, which we saw another Jamal Murray game winner at the last second. The first player, I believe, in NBA history to have 2 go-ahead shots in the final 5 seconds in the same series. Jamal Murray is a bad man. He went crazy, and Nuggets, they win in 5.
I saw a breakdown of that play, and it's just, Murray getting to the elbow. I think he drives past Reeves, and then it's Hachimura is the guy who's supposed to be helping. I believe it's Taurean Prince on the block behind him. And Prince goes to tap Hotch on the side, like, hey, go help and stop the ball. And Hotch just stands there, and you can see Prince, after Murray makes the shot, is visibly upset with Hachimura because he wanted him to step in. But even if that help would have came, like, Murray would have just dished it out to KCP, and then Taurean Prince would have stepped up, put a hand on KCP, and then MPJ would have been wide open in the corner. Like, they were going to get a look off either way, and there's an argument there, obviously, to keep Murray from getting to his spot at the elbow and being able to pull up. But then you're just forcing, another pass, and then we have another opportunity. Like, we have to make another play after that. So you're kind of, you gotta.
You're screwed either. You're screwed either way. Like you need to hope that they miss the shot. That's pretty much what you're at.
Yeah, what you hope is that you do enough beforehand to not put yourself in that situation when your back is against the wall and a win or go home.
Yeah, this series was basically the same thing over and over and over, with the Lakers taking a lead, besides game 4, losing it in the third quarter, and the Nuggets pulling out the victory. And in games 2 and 5 came at the last second, and it's just been crazy. Like, we know that this Nuggets team is dangerous, but when all 5 starters are playing together like this at the same wavelength, it's ridiculous. When you look at their 3 top scorers, Jokic averaged 28 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists in the first round, arguably the best player in the playoffs so far. Jamal Murray, 23 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds per game. Michael Porter, the big one to me, 23 points and 8
Wow.
boards per game on
How many
49 1 assist to 1 turnover. But that's okay. All he has to do, all he's out there to do is shoot the ball, and he's shooting it 55% from the field and 49 from 3 on 8 attempts.
Hey,
Like,
it's as simple as Jamal Murray just owns LA, man. That's just what it is. It's his town now.
shout out to AD and LeBron. Both played fantastic this series. I think we got to give kudos to Anthony Davis for a very, very good season. We really haven't talked about it a whole lot, probably a lot less than any other NBA podcast. But Anthony Davis having a probably his most healthy year since being a Laker, playing very well throughout the year, and in the playoffs averaging 28, 15, and 4 assists per game. He was impressive. It just wasn't enough. AD and LeBron, the other guys didn't help out enough. And their season's over in 5 games. We'll have all off season to speculate about the future with LeBron and their team and all that sort of thing. But moving on, let's go to our series preview and predictions. So we got the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is going to be so much fun. 2 teams battling for the top spot in the West all season long. They finish at 2-3 with the Nuggets having home court advantage. Before we get to predictions, let's preview this a little bit. What are some things that you guys are looking out for in this series, Jackson?
Can Rudy Gobert slow Jokic down enough? And can Minnesota keep their like hot streak, I guess, going of how they played in the first series? Can Anthony Edwards be that same base of the league type player for another series? And can Jaden McDaniels step up? Can Cat step up? Because Cat really didn't have the craziest first series. Like, he didn't really show that he's the second option on this team. Like, I feel like it was Ant, and then everyone else was the second option. It wasn't like there was one guy that was kind of overpowering. And I think it also comes down to the Minnesota bench, because the Minnesota bench is better than the Denver bench, in my opinion. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker showed that he is a great bench piece. He played well the first series. Obviously, you have the 6th man of the year, Naz Reid.
Yeah, they definitely have the edge on the bench. Definitely have the edge
Whether
on the
he
bench.
deserved it or not, doesn't matter. He's still the 6th man of the
Still
year.
6th man of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He was still at least good enough to be in consideration.
I think
honestly, if you're Denver, I would be a little scared, because this is probably the team that matches up the worst to them. They have the big that can get physical with Embiid, or not Jokic. And he can kind of like make him dish out more and force the rest of these Nuggets to hit shots. Jaden McDaniels, you can plug him on MPJ, and I think he'll do a fantastic job guarding MPJ. At least getting in his face and making it so that, like, just deny, because if he touches it, he's passing, or he's not passing, so he's gonna put up a shot. And then I think you can also plug Ant on Jamal Murray, and I think Ant is not gonna let Jamal Murray be this monster in the playoffs that he's always been. Because in my opinion, Ant is arguably the most underrated defender in the NBA. I don't see him getting talked about as his top tier defender. I think he's behind like Shea and like Drew Holiday and Marcus Smart. He's arguably the best defensive guard in the NBA.
He's arguably the best defensive star in the league.
Yeah.
When you look at guards, arguably the best defensive guard.
It's either him or Shea at that point, if you're talking about star.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's better than Shea, because Shea has the blocks and steals, but if Ant wants to, he's picking you up full court, and you're not getting past him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Nuggets are going to struggle, honestly, to find a good matchup. And I don't know if I see Cat stepping up to be that second guy you're talking about in this series. I think it's going to be and plus everybody else. What I'm really gonna keep my eye on is the Gordon versus Towns matchup because this is the series where all the worries about we haven't seen Cat really like be the 1 or 2 guy now in like crunch time in the playoffs. Like, is he just gonna get beat on back cuts all night long and Gordon's gonna dominate him at the rim and then just force switches onto Murray and like he could be a very big liability on the defensive end in this series.
I could honestly see that too, and I think if that happens, I don't think Chris Finch should have, or whoever's coaching. If it's Chris Finch, we're not entirely sure yet.
He's gonna try to make.
Prayers up to Chris Finch.
Yeah,
I don't know if we
exactly.
mentioned last episode, but prayers up
We
to
did.
Chris Finch.
But
Yeah.
honestly, if that happens, I could see um the Minnesota Timberwolves going with kind of like a more death lineup plus Rudy Gobert, where you go Conley at the 1, then you have Ant at the 2, and then Nikhil at the 3 because he's a bigger 2 guard, and then you put McDaniels at the 4 because I think McDaniels could at least slow Aaron Gordon down a little bit. But honestly, I don't know if Cat's a liability, or you can just plug Nas Reed in there, who's also a very versatile big.
Solid.
So.
That's a very good point, Nick. When you look at Aaron Gordon and how he cuts and how he makes the Nuggets argue, he may be the most dangerous piece with the Nuggets because of all that he does on both ends of the floor. Um, I think that matchup wise, it matches up pretty well as is. Besides the Towns and Gordon thing, that'll be interesting to watch. I think that McDaniels might be the best guy you could put on Michael Porter because he can match.
Sure.
He can match the
sure.
size and make Porter. Obviously, Porter takes very very difficult shots. McDaniels will make those even more difficult, and they probably won't go in at a 49% clip like the first round.
Let's be honest with something here. McDaniels slowed down the more versatile and more better, or just flat out better version of Michael Porter Jr.
You should be able to lock him up. You should be able to shut down MPJ.
Look, the Timberwolves should have all the
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Durant is just the all-around better version of Michael Porter Jr. Besides shooting, I think if you leave Michael Porter Jr., I trust him to make a shot more than Kevin Durant, to be honest. That's just me. I don't know.
He was a big piece that was missing last year. Of course, these two teams played in the playoffs last year, the first round, the 1-8 matchup. And if you remember the last game of the season, Jaden McDaniels broke his hand and had to miss the first round, and he would have been on Porter. Porter had a great first round series, was not as great as the Lakers series, but 16-8, 42% from 3, because you didn't have your best perimeter defender guarding Michael Porter. So I think that's going to be huge for Minnesota this series to have him come back.
I'm thinking about it. Like, if I'm Denver, I'm terrified right now because this young team is going to come out and they're going to play their butts off too. Because especially Ant wants to prove that he is the best guard or even best player in the NBA. And he's gonna we saw him look at Kevin Durant last game and Devin Booker, and he's like, I'm gonna outplay both of these guys. I feel like he's gonna come into this series with a lot of energy, and I feel like he's gonna be like, this is Jokic, he's the best guy in the league. If I outplay him, who knows what's gonna happen. But I think the Timberwolves need this win more than the Nuggets do, and they're gonna show it with their energy and everything.
I think it's important to note, with all that we've said about how the Timberwolves have great defensive advantages, these are the defending champs, and they are really good. They are really good. I think that's something that may be understated when looking at these series. Like, the Nuggets are an exceptionally good team. I think honestly where this series does come down to is the starting lineup, because I know Minnesota does have extra bench pieces that they can put out there, but if Denver's starting lineup is the better starting lineup, they win the series.
Well, they have the best starting lineup, arguably, of all
honestly,
time.
Can you even?
Not really, I guess.
Looking 1 through 5, can you say Denver has the better starting lineup besides Jokic? In any
I would take Murray over Conley.
I
But let's
take Murray, Porter, and
But here's what I'm
Jokic.
thinking of it as. I'm thinking of it in
Matchups.
the matchup sense. So I'm doing it like you put Ant versus Jamal, you put Conley versus KCP, you put McDaniels versus MPJ. I think MPJ beats that one too, but I think those are the only two. And then I think Cat still is better than Aaron Gordon.
I just don't think that's a fair way to assess the series because of the way Denver plays their style like together, and
True.
I don't think it's like apples to
Timberwolves,
oranges to orange. Apples
if
to orange.
the Timberwolves
whatever
want
they're
to,
saying.
they play very good team basketball. Thing with them.
This is definitely going to be a very close series. X factors, 100% got to be on. The X factor matchup has got to be Gobert and Jokic. You can only slow Jokic down so much, and you got a multiple defensive player of the year, best defensive team. Gobert's got to play his best basketball to slow him down.
Not necessarily though. Here's the thing, because what they could be thinking going into this is let Jokic score, let Jokic be the one to beat us, stop everybody else.
In my opinion, if you let Jokic beat you, he's gonna beat you. That's my thing. That's what I see.
Not necessarily.
That's what I see.
We saw that at times last year, like the Phoenix Denver series last year. Jokic went for 53 points in Game 4, and they lost because the Suns went with that strategy. I'm trying to think in their other playoff losses how Jokic played. I'm gonna try to figure that out now. But I remember throughout history that in the losses he usually has really high scoring games, but not high assists.
Yeah.
Which is
well, either way, I'm talking mostly him having a great game.
Yeah.
In general,
not
so that means
Rudy keeping Jokic under a certain point number. It's the rest of the team keeping Jokic under a certain assist number.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even me. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not even like, or at least what I was trying to say was, it's not even about him like scoring. Like Gobert has to keep him out of control. Like if Jokic is having his way down in the paint, controlling where he's going and where he can find the avenues to pass the ball, that's on Gobert. Gobert's got to be as tough as he is down there, and that's why it's like the X factor down there. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to make a prediction about it. If I had to, I would take Jokic, but overall, I still have like the Nuggets in 7. Like it's going to be an extremely tough series. Like that's the X factor. I think Ant's going to have a phenomenal series. I think what Nick brought up was fantastic. The Cat versus Gordon. If Cat turns out to the potential that he's always had, this could easily be flipped to like a Minnesota in 7 or 6 games.
Let's think about this too. Like I feel like I trust Rudy Gobert to be able to slow down Jokic more than I trust anybody on Denver to be able to slow Ant down. Because who's going to guard Ant? Who are you going to plug on Ant that's going to stop him?
No, that's why there's a team defense.
I would
they
go
play together as a
AG
team.
on Ant, MPJ
and
on
who's
Conley.
all right, saying that, which team is the number 1 team defense that's going to be able to rally and stop Jokic?
It doesn't need to. They don't need to be the number 1 defense.
Dude, Jokic is a real thing.
And playoff far has been a real thing.
I'm talking about like how good was Minnesota's offense ranked?
17th.
What was Minnesota or Denver's defense ranked?
Denver. Let me take.
Because if it's higher than 17, that's
8.
all you got to do.
8.
Yeah,
Denver had the 8th best
you
defense.
don't need to be the number 1 defense if you're stopping the number 17 offense. You need to be a top 10 defense to stop a number 17
the number
offense.
1 defense, you also have to score too.
Well, let's officially let me put them up on the board. Let's get our official predictions out there. So as Joey said, he's got Denver in 7. Nick also has Denver in 7. I've got Denver in 6. Jackson, of course, Minnesota in 6. Which I think are all valid predictions. Definitely all valid predictions. But this is crazy. I went back and looked at Jokic's numbers in the playoff losses last year when we were talking about the strategy of let him score. Denver lost 4 games in the playoffs last year. In those 4 games, Jokic is averaging 42 points per game because they're just
let him score 40.
they're just letting him go off, and then they're letting the other guys at bay. That's honestly why I think that Gobert and Jokic, that may not be the total X factor matchup, because I think Jokic is Jokic. Jokic is going to do what he's going to do. It's going to be hard for anyone to stop him, even though Gobert's the defensive player of the year. It's going to be hard for anyone to stop him. I think that the true, like, who is going to be the second best player in the series? Is it going to be Anthony Edwards or Jamal Murray?
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to be the best? Who's going to be the best supporting cast? We talk about the starting lineups.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great. I mean, there's a whole bunch of facets to this series to really dive into, and it should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun for sure.
I don't know if we should rule out as Ant being the best player. I mean, I know Jokic is Jokic, but could very well see Ant.
Ant could be the best. Ant could definitely be the best player. I mean, it's easy right now. The Timberwolves, after that impressive sweep of Phoenix, they definitely are looking good going into the second round. We'll see if then this will be their first time going up against. Well, I guess the second straight year they're going up against a seasoned team that's been together, that has the continuity, and not really
a real threat.
Honestly, I like.
Yeah,
not the Suns.
If you want to say that, yeah.
Suns are a garbage fire.
We're talking about, is Jokic gonna be able to, or is Gobert gonna be able to stop Jokic? Is Jokic gonna be able to hold Rudy to under like 14 points a game? Because Jokic isn't the best defender either.
Jokic is a good defender.
But we saw Rudy play surprisingly well on offense last series. He was hitting some shots I've never seen Rudy hit, and I never know.
You don't. That's why it's a prediction.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm just going based off of what I've seen, and Jokic is a multiple-time MVP, NBA champion. Same with the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to put the faith in him.
It's fair. I can't complain about people betting on Jokic. Like he's still Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Edwards is insane too. So this is probably my number one. Like even if the Cavs make it through, this is probably my number one second round clash right now.
This would probably
even out of the potential ones that are going to come.
People are saying, I think Jackson, you might be about to say that this is the real Western Conference Finals. I know some people have been saying that. Personally, I think that's disrespectful to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
No,
because of how
and the Clippers.
And it's disrespectful to the whole Western Conference, honestly, because the whole West has been so loaded.
Not a soul of those teams match up with either of these teams, I don't think.
Well, we don't know.
We'll get to that when we get to that. We'll see if the Timberwolves can even make it out of, or if we'll see who gets out of this series. It should be a lot of fun.
It'll be a very exciting series.
Game 1, I believe, will be Saturday. So that'll be great, man. I'm super excited. We're getting into the end of the first round. It's just great, man. Playoff basketball it's so much fun. Can't wait for the rest of it. You guys got anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so.
Timberwolves. I love my prediction.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this late night edition. This was a lot of fun. Doing these late night things after games. We might do some more of these moving forward, because that'd definitely be a lot of fun. But if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA playoff content. Leave a comment with your thoughts on all these series and their predictions on the Timberwolves Nuggets and the Game 6s tonight. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.